Conor launched a giant left hand. It also showed to me a little bit that Conor, he knows that Jorge Masvidal is a potential big opponent for him, and he knows that Masvidal made a big name for getting the fastest knockout in UFC history. So I think a little bit in Conor's mind was to try to get the knockout even faster than Masvidal, try to beat him in that. And he also knows if he goes for this, it's not going to put him in too much danger because Cerrone isn't as sharp in the first round. So even any kind of counter or anything from Cerrone, which he doesn't normally go to given his style, it can be a more safe approach to go to. And Cerrone saw it coming, he saw Conor run at him, so he knew he was going to throw something at him, saw the windup of the left hand, and he ducked his head under and moved his head on the outside so he can bump in with the left shoulder, which is something Cerrone has developed very effectively in his recent career, to find an answer for the usual onslaught that opponents attempt on him in the beginning of the fight, because he does have that slow start, right? So it's a good way to neutralize everything and slow the fight down. And that's what he tried to do against Conor. That's why you didn't see Cerrone try to throw elbows and knees and try to go for a takedown immediately. He wanted to slow the fight down. It's something Khabib was able to do in the past, where Conor came out strong against him and Khabib was able to just move along the cage and eventually go in for that takedown. Cerrone just tried to keep it in the clinch and hold Conor there, probably use some of his size advantage to also try to gas out Conor, but he just did not see those shoulder strikes. Cerrone had the left underhook, holding Conor in closer to him, and he was trying to control Conor's right arm by grabbing onto it, but Conor actually had bicep control on the left side, and this pushes Cerrone back a little bit. It creates enough distance for Conor to leap in there with shoulder strikes, right? And also, Cerrone taking this position makes him face the left side of Conor. Nobody would have expected, nobody guessed or predicted that Conor would come out there with shoulder strikes. Man, nobody's ever created this much damage with shoulder strikes before, just aiming at a very weak spot, and that is the nose of his opponent. And he's jumping in there with it. Crazy and very creative technique, which I 100% know a lot of fighters are going to start using in their skill set. And this got to the point where Cerrone wanted to get out of this clinch, right? He took a lot of damage, he almost got kneed in the head, and he just pushes away, and Conor likes that. Conor wants this little bit more of distance, and he can pressure Cerrone back, because even in this whole thing, Conor's still moving backwards. So Conor starts moving forward and takes the outside foot, as Cerrone isn't keeping that normal upward stance where he's really tall. So Conor goes and parries the lead hand away, and he shows Cerrone his left hand as he steps far out to the outside, and this triggers Cerrone's reaction to lean away. And when you lean away like this, you have to also change up your footing to get away from your opponent, and that is, you're going to bring your feet closer together on that initial step to move backwards. And Conor uses this to his advantage by seeing this lean back. He comes in there with a long right uppercut, which actually does touch Cerrone. And now you have to remember one thing, and it's something Cerrone even acknowledged and validated after the fight, and that is the shoulder strikes kind of discombobulated him, or completely just threw him off his game. Because when you take those kind of blows to the nose that early, especially by surprise, it can disorientate you. So Conor starts pressuring Cerrone backwards. Cerrone's almost up against the cage, and he tries to throw that roundhouse kick, but when you're moving backwards, the setup is a lot easier to see, and Conor easily is able to block it. And then Cerrone made the big error. The error probably a lot of people didn't see in real time, and that is Cerrone moved into Conor's left side, right? He moved into the left hand, or in this case, the left high kick. So Conor shows his right hand first, and this actually gets the reaction of Donald Cerrone to extend his lead arm forward. It could have been that he tried to parry the right hand of Conor McGregor. It could be that he was trying to jab Conor McGregor. Whatever it was, he saw Conor reach out with his right hand, and he tried to counter Conor with his own lead hand, extending it, and this changes the focus from Conor's left side to Conor's right. And this is something in my last video talking about Conor's left hand, is something he does to almost all of his opponents. He gets them to change their focus on his other side. But this is all to set up the left high kick, and at the last second, Cerrone thought it was going to go to the body. Dropped his hand down, and actually it was only the toes of the kick that caught Cerrone and completely rocked him. Do you know how crazy it is to stun your opponent by roundhouse kicking them and landing with only your toes, right? You have to generate enormous amount of power. That is something I've never seen Conor even able to generate before. Conor has never had a head kick knockout in the UFC. Ever. He's dropped one opponent with head kicks, and that was Diego Brandao. He's head kicked people flush, like, Dennis Seaver and stuff. Everybody's able to take it. Conor has a different level of power, especially for this training camp, coming up to 170. And this kick alone, able to rock Donald Cerrone, who also has a pretty good chin in himself. Yes, he took a lot of damage in his last two fights, but historically, Cerrone has shown to have a very good chin, and still was hurt badly by a kick that landed like this. And this was pretty much just the end of it. Conor crushed Cerrone with 3 more left hands over the top, just showed the power that he brings, and I thought the fight could have been stopped a little bit sooner than it did, where Cerrone had no fight left. And it was also great to see Conor actually hold down the left leg with Cerrone, which would be the only thing that can create distance between him and Conor. So amazing finish by Conor McGregor. He looked great, he looked powerful, he started fast like a lot of people expected. And a lot of people expected Conor to finish Cerrone early, but not by the techniques he displayed, not by shoulder strikes to a head kick eventually, defeating Cerrone with his own move. And that just goes to another part of Conor McGregor, just showing his creativity, showing that he just doesn't, the stigma, the narrative of his opponents just don't matter to him. He's just gonna do what he wants to do. Yes, starting fast, it would work a lot better against a guy like Cerrone than other fighters, maybe like a Jorge Masvidal or Kamaru Usman. It won't be too effective. He understands the general aspect, the general style of his opponent's game and how to go about that. And who I like to see Conor fight next, I like the Jorge Masvidal fight. It's a fight a lot of people have been brewing, and the fact that they put Jorge on the screen after when Joe Rogan asked who Conor's going to face next, it shows that probably the UFC really wants the Jorge versus Conor fight, right? I don't like the Khabib fight yet, and the other fight I like to see is him versus Justin Gaethje. Those are the two only fights I really want to see next, and they make the most sense with everybody involved. Jorge's the fun fight, mega fight. Justin Gaethje is the fight for the #1 contender. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe and leave in the comments below who would you guys like to see Conor fight next. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.